So I'm personally a fan of cozy, warm fragrances. I just like them in general, you know, the really warm notes like leather or incense, tobacco, amber, that sort of thing. They're just warm and comforting fragrances. So in this video, I'm going to go over a small list of fragrances that I think are some of the coziest and the best for especially rainy days. By the way, I have a new channel called Shining Times, which is quite a bit different from this channel and is mainly about outdoorsy things like gardening, hiking, traveling, maybe a few recipes here and there. If you're interested in that sort of thing, subscribe. It's a very new channel and I appreciate the support. And I'm going to start with quite a vintage one, which is Youth Dew by Estee Lauder. This is also one of my favorites. Let me know in the comments if either you are familiar with this fragrance or like it. Because surprisingly, a lot of people do not like this fragrance, mainly because it's very strong. So the thing about this, it's kind of like a balm of spice and balsam and amber and floral notes. Just this amazing mixture. If you look up the list of notes in this, it's huge compared to your average perfume. Massive amount of notes. Despite that, this is a really good, complex yet balanced fragrance. And again, it is strong. So if you're not big on really strong fragrances, not great. But the thing about this, first of all, it reminds me of Christmas time because it has those spices like cloves and cinnamon and, you know, things like that. And at the same time, it has some incense notes, so it's also a little bit smoky, mixed with those spice notes. So in general, you're getting this supremely warm fragrance. So I would say this is definitely a really good option. You know, when it's raining outside right now, it's kind of sprinkling, but I would say this is definitely a really good, like, especially if you have like a fireplace and you can like nestle up, this is a really good option. And it does have a really nice powdery dry down, kind of a little bit sweet when it dries down, but yeah, this is a really nice option. Now, if you want something more modern, a little bit fancier, you could definitely go for Dior Tobacco Color, if it'll focus. There. This is obviously a tobacco fragrance, unisex, and this is if you like tobacco fragrances in general, this is the one, because I always say tobacco fragrances are often, you know, they can be a little bit too harsh, too, like you're in a room full of smoke, just too much. This is very smooth, very balanced. You definitely won't get that negative, harsh effect. Probably one of the finest crafted tobacco fragrances out there. And of course, its smoky nature is naturally very cozy. You know, you get that kind of like by the fireplace sort of vibe. So it is a little bit more expensive because it's from Dior's kind of special line, but this is definitely a good option, not only for just rainy days, but especially when you're going someplace special or you just want to show off a little bit. Then, another vintage one actually, I had to mention Shalimar from Guerlain. This is, I believe, from 1925, but similar to Tobacco Color, it's very smoky. Now, in contrast, this is not a tobacco fragrance, this is more of an incense fragrance. If you've smelled frankincense, for example, which is a very resinous sort of material, this smells very similar to that. It was inspired off of ancient India when it was made, so it has these spices, this smoky, incensey approach, a few florals, and a few citrus notes. So definitely a complex fragrance, very heavy, but definitely very cozy as well. This one has great longevity. I would say a minimum of 8 hours, at least for the Eau de Parfum, which is this. I can't really speak to the Eau de Toilette because I haven't tried it, but definitely the Eau de Parfum is very potent, very, very warm and cozy. Then, this one, Chanel No. 5. So the thing about this, a lot of people don't really think of Chanel No. 5 as something that's, you know, kind of a cozy scent like some of these other ones, but it is pretty warm and nice and comfortable to wear because, you know, it has these florals, these aldehydes, but the base notes are very warm. They consist of civet, amber, there's some oak moss, sandalwood. You know, once it dries down, like after a half an hour to an hour, it's a very warm, cozy fragrance. At the same time, it's extremely elegant as well, which is probably why it's been so popular for so long. So, you know, if you don't really know what to buy, I mean, Chanel No. 5 is always kind of the go-to option. Then the last one, I'm leaving it for last because it's kind of a polarizing fragrance. This one is Taboo by Dana. This is also another pretty old fragrance from the 1930s. This, I would say it's most similar to Youth Dew, but it's kind of a little bit even stronger. Some people really don't like this and some people really, really like it. So the main thing here is it's extremely spicy, more so than Youth Dew. It doesn't have black licorice. It doesn't have black licorice, but I would say it has a little note of black licorice. It's a very potent fragrance, very, very warm and very heavy. Ironically, or at least surprisingly, it's an eau de cologne, which usually clones are quite weak, but this is one of the strongest perfumes in general that I've discovered. So I don't know how they did that, but this is a very long-lasting fragrance, very potent. Definitely a warm fragrance. If it's winter outside, this will really warm things up because of its spice notes especially. I think it also has some incense. And again, it is polarizing, probably more so than any of these other ones on the list here. It is very, very strong. So I would caution a blind buy of this. It isn't very expensive. I think it's $20, so it's not a big deal if you blind buy it. But, you know, if you're kind of on the edge, you don't know if you like it or not, I would recommend, you know, try finding a sample first, just to see if you like it. But if you do like spicy, really heavy, prominent fragrances, you will probably like this. But that is my list of cozy rainy day fragrances. So all of these I pretty much like. If I had to pick one to be my favorite, I would... It's always a tie between Youth Dew, Shalibar, and Tobacco Color, because for me they're all really good. But yeah, all of these have great longevity. Usually heavier fragrances have longer longevity in general. They're all high quality fragrances, you know, designer fragrances, so buying any of them would be just, you're not going to be disappointed. So that is pretty much all I have to say about these types of fragrances. If you have any opinions about them, you could always leave those down in the comment section below. If you like the video, leave a like, maybe subscribe, and I make videos throughout the week, so stick around for those.